Getting into some announcements really quickly. It's not too much to talk about, but I just had some chapter updates and then some little revisions here and there that we're talking about. Obviously, with the potential for campus closure and things like that over the next 2 weeks due to the coronavirus, we'll be obviously keeping you guys up to date on any changes. I know Al's probably going to be doing some different things. They have a meeting tomorrow, I think, to talk about that kind of stuff. Just trying to make revisions on how we operate with student organizations. I mean, at worst, we could be talking about not having an April meeting, which is unfortunate, but we'll be keeping you guys up to date on how that affects things moving forward. As of right now, the 2-week plan doesn't include anything that we would have planned moving forward for the student chapter, so it wouldn't affect us. But that's still up in the air, obviously, as things move forward. So some updates for anybody that hadn't been here last time. We are working on new merchandise stuff. We're also looking at potential of working with the school of meteorology. There's some complexities with that just because of the new policies with the university, but we're working on different opportunities to provide you guys with different merchandise options. Intramural sports, I did talk to Nolan about that. Intramural sports is looking a little bleak because of the coronavirus, but we'll be looking at potential for softball at least maybe later in the spring. Soccer probably is not. The deadline for that is today, and I don't think we're going to make that. But that being said, I did know. I think was there anybody in here that did basketball? I don't think so. But basketball team finished out. It wasn't necessarily maybe the greatest season, but we had fun. And then we initiated an outreach committee within the OU board to help Elizabeth with weather-friend stuff and different things like that within the community. We'll be looking at the potential of doing Adopt a Highway, if the virus permitting. We'll be doing Adopt a Highway, hopefully, to help kind of clean up either the campus or a nearby highway. That's something that the school of meteorology used to do, but we kind of did away with it for a brief time, and so we're going to try to bring it back since that's, I think, another really valuable service opportunity and kind of keeps our community cleaner. Any other details that you have about anything going on in the meetings, you can keep track of on our website if you go to the events page. We usually have the meeting minutes up in a timely manner. Just message me if you have questions. And then I did skip over that, but we do have a goal in mind of, we're trying to push for chapter of the year, so that's why we really try to be very mobilized this year. So hopefully we'll be submitting that in May, and we'll see what has in store for that. It won't be announced, the winner of that won't be announced until August, so I'll be gone. But yeah, just representing OU, we gotta represent. And then other couple things. So one constitutional thing that we're looking at is, I discussed it in the group meeting as well. We're looking at revising the definition of an active member since it is kind of a little outdated on the basis that the at least 66% attendance part is going to stay the same, more than likely. But one part is that we probably going to, so it basically needs to be where we're changing it to where it's instead of at least one service project a semester to one service project a year. So then it provides you guys with a little more flexibility on how to participate in service events and still be qualified as a active member so that you can vote and different things like that. Because in reality, on an average year, we only had the National Weather Festival and the big event as opportunity, like direct opportunities for our students to interact with the student organization and volunteer. So it's kind of unfair for you guys to have only a few, situations in which you can volunteer and then have that part of the active membership. And to be fair, we haven't actually been enforcing that in years prior, but I feel like this will be a way to compromise that and actually enforce the Constitution. Further, we're going to also incentivize it, so any additional service events you do on top of the one that's required to be an active member will be applied to your meeting attendance. So if you have a missed meeting or two and it's affecting your percentage, maybe you fell below because you had a midterm or something like that, you can involve yourself in a service event like potentially the Adopt a Highway or a big event and make up for that, and then that's how you'd be able to get above 66% attendance and things like that. I think the class reps have been trying to push out messages to people about just kind of giving an idea if you're an active member or not. If you have questions, if you're an active member or not, feel free to ask. We'll, gladly tell you or not, and you can kind of figure that out. So then you can figure it out for spring elections, which is the next point. Spring elections. So that is coming up next month. So we have to obviously hold elections for the 2020-2021 school year, since this will be our last meeting of the semester, and that will be the election of all of our new board members, with the exception to the freshman reps and the grad rep, and because those will be in August. But basically, it's kind of a little bit of a paragraph there, I apologize, but basically, that's just the gist of, the qualifications per the Constitution for each position. So if you want to take a picture, or you can also access this on our website. If you go to our About Us section, the access to the Constitution is on the About Us page in the SCAN website. So, for just reference, nominations will be done in person at the general meeting. If you can't make the general meeting, but still want to run for a position, absolutely just contact me and let me know beforehand, and we can try to work something out. And that's kind of the gist of that. Obviously, we'll talk about more of that if the coronavirus situation gets worse, or we have to cancel the meeting, in which we'll have to probably move to online voting. But we'll keep that in mind moving forward. So this is the spring schedule as it is. So we have our general meeting currently, which is actually March 11th. And then the officer meeting would be happening the week we come back from potential remote classes. I don't know, I still haven't seen if it's been actually announced, but I'm assuming it's going to be announced probably soon. But basically, it'd be the week that we can get back from potential remote classes. And then it looks like more than likely, given the situation, that we were planning on doing the world tours, since you guys had a strong interest in it, but given the situation, we may have to go ahead and cancel those. But we'll keep you guys up to date on that. The next general meeting is actually April 15th, because we're planning on moving it to the 15th, to basically account for, we had been consulting with the class reps, and basically we saw that you guys' class schedules for the most part are pretty not conducive for that Tuesday as well, so we want to obviously give the opportunity for people to attend. So it'll be moved to the second Wednesday of next month, April 15th, and then OU Big Event will be that weekend on Saturday. Speaking of OU Big Events, this is the way to sign up. If you want to get direct access and immediately sign up, all you got to do, take a picture of the QR code, and you're good to go. Currently, I think we have like 15 or 16 signed up. I would hope that we could get a few more than that, considering the size of our school. So if you guys want to sign up, it would be really, really awesome to have a group of meteorology people serving the community. And it's also it's not going to be, for one, it's not going to be impacting your attendance at the OU spring game if you're attending to go to that, since that is sometimes a conflict. It's been a conflict in the past, but it's not this year. And also, obviously if you're not an active member or you haven't done a service project this year, then this would be a vital opportunity to get your active membership. So definitely do that. I'm going to keep nagging you for the next 2 weeks because it's till March 27th, so please. Please. And Nolan will be nagging you as well. It's not going to just be me. So anyway, getting to the actual event itself, the link to the anonymous Q&A is right here. Definitely take a picture of that or copy down the link that's listed right there. If you have questions throughout Gina's talk, just feel free to submit it to me, and it'll be all submitted to a Google form, and I can read off the responses. And you're not putting your name, not putting anything, just whatever your question is. Try to keep it concise if you can. And yeah, if you have any other questions or concerns after, you can also talk to her after, obviously. But we'll get going here. I'm also going to. Does everybody have that wants it? Good to go. Good. Yes. Cool. Go ahead ahead and just giving you guys a list of some resources and things like that. I'll revisit these at the end, but just giving you guys some ideas of different opportunities that are here on campus for you guys to have access to, just so you're aware of them. Also, if you have other questions, you can contact Brittany Stewart. She's with, I'm trying to remember the name off the top of my head. But yeah, she's basically with OU, and she's with Health Services, and provided me with these awesome slides, so I appreciate that. So, let's see. Yeah, those are basically just some slides that you can go through. I'll probably link these in the GroupMe as well, so you have direct access to them. And some other resources are right there as well, which is all the different hotlines and things like that you would definitely, it'd probably be a good idea to keep saved, just in case. You never know when you'll need them. So, I'll leave that open for people for a second. And, all right. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Gina Dixon, and she can give her spiel about mental health.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I know this is kind of a tough time right now. My son was in stress mode just now when he was telling me how many tests he had, and he's a junior here. So I hear about it a little bit, so I know what you're going through a little bit just from him calling me in some panic modes every once in a while. I'm Gina Dixon. I'm a therapist at Restore Behavioral Health. I'm also owner. We have about 25 to 30 types of counselors. We have life coaches, marriage and family therapists. We have general licensed therapists, and we have social workers. So we're getting bigger and bigger. It's been amazing kind of watching it, but we're right here in Norman, and I mean, definitely you want to know your resources here on campus, but we are off campus. We're not very far, and we're off of 24th Avenue, off of West Park Drive between Lloyd and Lindsay. So it's not too far away, and we sure do see a lot of OU students. So with that said, and kind of knowing where you're at with midterms, you guys are probably feeling a little bit of stress. Would I be correct in saying that? A little bit of stress. I get sometimes some questions that are, what is the difference between stress and anxiety? Would that be kind of a question? Maybe I kind of had to think about that. I was like, okay, I think I know that. Stress is usually your response biochemically, physiologically, and behaviorally from external stimuli, like tests, like midterms and like projects and things like that. And so it's external. It's things that are happening in your life or situations that are happening in your life that you start feeling this stress. You start feeling it in your body. You might start feeling like your stomach is hurting, your chest is tight, you can't swallow, you feel like you're jittery, you feel like your legs are wobbly, some people feel they're hot, I'm describing a lot of different kinds of, physiological changes that happen. Also, adrenaline is pumping. You start feeling that. That's fun. A lot of adrenaline comes in your body and you start feeling shaky and nervous. So, external stimuli is stress. Now, anxiety is internal stimuli. Things that you're doing in here. Thinking, worrying, thinking you can read people's minds and they're judging you and you're judging yourself harshly. You feel nervous in social situations. So it's that internal thing that's creating anxiety. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm kind of interactive. I used to be a school teacher so a long time ago. So I'm kind of interactive. But does that kind of make sense? So external versus internal. Let me tell you a little bit about the types of stress. We have stress that's acute, which is a common type. We all get to experience. It's just a part of our lives, right? Stress. And then we have the kind that can get a little more episodic, a little more intense. And then if you're like in a war zone or you're in constant stress and things are going on in your life, it can get into some chronic kind of stress. And when the thing ends, you feel better. Anxiety doesn't necessarily mean that when the situation ends that you feel better. You're kind of a little bit always sitting on this feeling of what if, what's going to happen next, right? And you start worrying and cognitively, thinking about bad things that are going to happen and what if, and, now we got the coronavirus, everybody's worst nightmare, start thinking about your mental health. Now we got the coronavirus and midterms all at the same time. So time stress is a stress, where when you feel worried about time and when you don't have or think you don't have enough time to accomplish something. Has anybody ever felt that? Just me? Like you got all these things to do, you got all these things to do and you think you don't have enough time to do it, right? And so you start feeling that tenseness. I don't know where you feel it. I always feel it in my jaws. I kind of feel it in my jaws. Some people feel it like in their chest. Some people feel it in their gut. It just different places in your body. Pay attention to that. Where is it happening in your body? Because a lot of people go, oh, I'm feeling that feeling. I hate that feeling. Oh my gosh, I gotta think about what I'm thinking about and get rid of that stress. It's actually only responding to your body. I gotta breathe. I gotta go take a little walk. I gotta kind of take a chill for a minute because my body's really feeling tense. And so I'm going to take a little break here. So you only respond to your body, not problem solving. I can imagine just being in the field that you're in. You guys are problem solvers. You're thinkers. You're doing a lot of thinking and trying to solve this problem. I hate this feeling. I got to figure it out. You stay in your head and you're not out here living your life. Right? You're in there watching a movie, problem solving, and taking yourself out of your life and not really being present, with life and fresh air and sunshine and trying to kind of relax your body a little bit. So there's not as much problem solving as you think because you cannot problem solve midterms. They're there, right? So it's really just responding to your body and saying, how can I feel relaxed? How can I kind of loosen up those muscles and breathe a little bit more? Anticipatory stress, anticipating what's coming up. Like how many of you have a test tomorrow? Yeah? So, there's that stress of, oh gosh, I got that test tomorrow, and that feels kind of scary. You start feeling it, right? You're feeling it right now? I'm sure you're like, I really need to go study, right? Well, anticipatory stress is just when you feel anxious about the future or an upcoming event. And then there's situational stress, kind of like what you're in. You're in a situation, is like, I gotta get through these midterms, I gotta do well, I wanna do well for the semester and all that kind of stuff. Encounter stress, that's the social thing. I have a little problem or I'm anxious about being around certain people or a group of people. So a little bit of that social interaction. Just going to class kind of stresses you out because you got so many people. You got to work in that project with that group of people you don't like very much. And you're like, oh, that stresses me out, right? So that's stress. Any questions about stress? Can I just, anything there? Okay. I'll go to the end. So let me kind of talk to you about some tips. And some of you have heard these before, but I got to tell you how important it is. Eating well. I know you're eating pizza, and I would so join you. I would. First of all, you got to eat. I asked my son, I said, you haven't asked me for any money, for food. What are you doing? I'm not eating. I was like, well, that's great. Right in the middle of midterms, not eating. And so I was like, you got to eat. You got to eat. Oh, I'm too stressed. No. Really, it does help if you will eat and eat well. Try to eat healthy when you get a chance. There's nothing wrong with a little pizza every once in a while. I'm not trying to say be strict, but I'm saying what you put in your body matters to your brain. And it's not about body size or losing weight or anything like that. It's about what you put in to fuel your brain. And it also helps with mental health. You know, have you ever felt like after a big carb meal, you know, that you're foggy? I do that. I can't eat pancakes and waffles before I see 1 million people in one day. You know, I can't do that. I'll be foggy, and I feel sluggish, and I'm not as sharp feeling. You know, so what you eat matters. It's a big science that's out there, and it's kind of the newest, latest, greatest. But eating matters, and what you eat. And some of you are even probably don't realize you're a little allergic somewhat to some foods. There's some foods that just make you feel lousy and bloated, and you're like, what is that? You know? And so that does affect your mental health and your brain. And you're wanting to have one of those, y'all have great brains, but you want to keep that going pretty good. So eating well. Exercise, I know, I don't like to exercise that much. I'll tell you, I hate going to the gym. It's awkward for me. I don't feel good about going to the gym, but I will tell you that a little exercise, I know you're students, but anything like you're walking, you're taking a dog for a walk, you know, just getting out and trying to do something that moves your body releases endorphins. Some of you restrict eating well and exercise during the most stressful time right now, and you're just surviving, which is actually pretty hard. It makes it harder on you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to balance that out in just a second. But so exercise is one of the best things to reduce stress. The guy that wrote the book Depression Cure, he said exercise is the best thing, not in pill form. He said you can't get that in pill form. So exercise, not to be like, you know, this muscled up person that's going to be running marathons. Just move your body a little bit. It will help you so much in your mind. You don't have to be an athlete to move your body. You just move a little bit, walk, jog when you can, do something fun or you like, go rock climbing, whatever, but do something regularly. It'll help your stress and anxiety so much. Have an outlet. Don't be all work and no play. You know, get a hobby. Go do something different. You know, it's not all about weather all the time. So I'm trying to say, I can't always do counseling. I do a lot of that during the day. I need to go out and do something else. You know, I like music, I like to garden, I like to, paint, whatever. I like to do other things, and it's okay to have that outlet that brings balance to you, something else that you enjoy, because see, you're multifaceted. And you've got a lot to you. And you're more important, your identity is more important than any class you could ever take. Understand? That is that your value and your worth and your mental health and your health, you're so much more important than anything that you're taking right now in classes or tests. And so taking care of you is so important. And it's okay to have outlets and to have other things that you enjoy. Another one is have a support system. How many of you don't like to talk to your mom and dad about your anxiety and stress? Yeah, I know, I'm a mom, and I know. And but I'm a counselor too, so it's different. Talking to someone. I know sometimes it's hard to talk to your parents because, parents worry about you, and they're also paying for your college, and they're like going, well, you better do it. I'm paying for this, which just adds so much more stress to you. You're like, great, now I got to think about my mom and dad paying for this, and I can't fail this test, right? So it's a lot. So sometimes, finding a good support system that you can talk to. I don't know if it'd be on campus, where you find somebody that feels like, that you can go to, or those friends that you just go, I don't have it all together. I don't have it all together. I'm going to lose it. I'm so, anxious and stressed. And just talking about it and knowing that you're not alone, because you're not. Everyone in here is experiencing stress in some form, probably of anxiety, or even a little depression. And I'm going to talk more a little bit about that in just a second. But get a support system, and also friends that you want to be around. That's important too. A lot of you are hanging out with a bunch of people you don't want to be around, really, and you're just doing it. And it's important to find people that you like and that you feel supported, because you got enough group projects, you got to hang around with those people, and you don't really want to hang out with those people all the time. Find people that you want to hang around. And you can't do that being socially isolated. Connection is huge, and you can't find it on your phone. I like my phone. I like Facebook and Instagram. I like all that stuff. But you can't get connected. You have to be with people to feel connected. It's hard to feel connected through a phone. I'm just saying that. You guys may differ. You can write it in your question. Sleep. How many of you have not had any sleep this week? It's Wednesday. Hallelujah. A few of you are pulling some really big all-nighters. Sleep is your coping mechanism. It's the thing that your brain needs you to do so you'll be able to function. So I can't emphasize sleep, even when you're taking tests, it's so important. It's just as important as sometimes doing that last cram you're trying to do, right? Sleep is actually regenerative, and it'll help you, be able to perform better. So you gotta sleep. Now, this is probably the different thing that I kind of really want you to think about. Do you guys remember agendas? Do you know what agendas are? Well, let me tell you what that is. And I know you guys know what it is, but what you guys do, you don't realize in your agenda is that you put all these things that you have to do in it. That you have to do in it. So it makes you like, oh, I hate my agenda. That just means everything I got, to do in there. So it doesn't make it attractive to you. But what if I tell you that everything that's circling around in your head about what you've got to do, if you'll go linear with it and put it out, and don't just put the things that you have to do in there, put the things that you get to do. Like, you got to study from 6 to 8, but at 8, I'm watching Netflix, and I'm going to watch This Is Us, or whatever, and you write that down in there. Or I'm going out with my girls on Tuesday night, and we're going to be hanging out at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you guys go late, 9 o'clock Tuesday night, that's written in. Okay? And then when you're in those moments, you're present. You're not like going, oh, I should be studying. Oh my gosh, I've got so many things I should be doing, and I'm here watching Netflix. And you miss the present. You miss it because you're worrying about what else you should be doing, right? So when you put things in your day for breaks, or fun and all those kinds of things, that is helpful. And you'll want to go to your agenda and go, oh, look, next, I've got Netflix tonight at 8, and you could be in that moment and enjoy a show, not 10 of them, but like one of them, and then you can come back and go do what you need to do, studying. You put, I'm going to eat dinner in there, okay? I'm going to eat something. I'm going to go take a jog. And you also put the things, the tasks that you have to do in there. But see, that makes that agenda not the thing that you avoid or the things that you're avoiding. It's actually the things that you want to do in there too. Does that make sense? So for balance, write it in your agenda and plan on the balance. I'm going out to walk my dog. 6 o'clock, there it is. Mark it off, I walked my dog. So what happens is that you guys get out of balance with stress and everything's circling around in here, and you're not having any kind of bandwidth or any margin to think about, how am I doing? You're getting ready to explode, right? Because you got so much going on in your head. So I would strongly recommend an agenda. Go find you some cute agenda, and you guys can black or whatever, and it's something you do. I don't think alarms, I love alarms. It's like my brain sometimes, the alarms that go off. I know you put things on your phone, and you got things on your computer, and it's just too much. If you will write it out, there's something manual that helps that too, that you're writing it out. You get your hands on that information, you're putting it out, and you look at it. You're like, okay, but look, I've got breaks. I've got this Wednesday night, and I'm gonna eat pizza Wednesday night and listen to this woman I don't even know about mental health. You had that down in your agenda, right? Okay. So it's not the time to start doing unhealthy things. And this is the big thing that I like to kind of harp on a little bit. And I'm not trying to be uncool, because I know I was in college. I went to college here. Guys, is not the time to take your feelings of anxiety and go, oh, I need to drink a lot of alcohol. I need to smoke a lot of weed to get rid of that. You know, I've got to take a little extra Adderall. It's not mine, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and take that. I'm not ADHD, but I think I'll make me a little more nervous, like Adderall. You know, those kinds of things those are hard. They're hard on your body, and it gets into the cycle of, I don't want to be uncomfortable. Stress is uncomfortable. But there's skills that you can place in your life that actually will help you deal with the day-to-day stresses, and it just becomes a part of your lifestyle, where the other stuff is temporary. You just need more alcohol tomorrow night, right? That you just want to I'm going to set that feeling, because I don't like to be anxious. I want to be cool. I just want to just be calm. I don't want to be stressed, so I'm gonna get high or whatever, relax, whatever it is. You know, I know it's out there, but it's a quick fix. And it's not a permanent fix. It's a quick fix. It'll make you feel better then, and then you'll have to go do it again, you know? And sometimes that's a kind of a dangerous thing to do, especially if you're dealing with anxiety or depression, because that's a little more ongoing, and then you start needing it more and more. So, caution, you know? I'd rather you be celebrating than being stressed, anxious, or depressed, and using those kind of things. So, does that make sense? Spending compulsively. Sorry, I don't want to ask for any compulsive spenders, but I have a tendency to want to go shopping when I'm stressed. It just feels good, you know, you get those endorphins, and I really should go for a jog or, you know, a nice brisk walk, and I want to go spend something, because it gives me those endorphins that we feel. Over or under eating, emotional eating, you know, like I'm going to go eat a whole bag of, I didn't do this recently, so I did. Salt and vinegar, you know, potato chips are my favorite. Yeah, you know, when you start feeling that stress and you start just grabbing it, crap, chocolate, potato chips, and all that kind of stuff, and it's just not helpful. Numbing out. Let me kind of talk to you about numbing out. That means that you think you're numbing out on scrolling on Instagram or Snapchat. You think that's cognitive. That's called cognitive labor. And you're not chilling out. Your brain is still going. You're thinking about, who's that person? I didn't get invited to the party. Was I right there? Well, I want to do that. Their life's so much better than my life. You're doing all those things, you know, that, you know, when you're looking at social media, why wasn't I there? Oh, they're having so much fun. Look at me. Whatever. You're going through that, and that's cognitive laboring, and you think you're numbing out. You think if you're playing video games, you know, and you're like really, you know, conquering and things, but what you're doing is disconnecting somewhat, but you're really keeping your brain revved up. There's no relaxation in that. You're like challenging something in a game, usually, right? You're trying to win. So all of it is cognitive laboring. Just this constant feeling, and that's what we're seeing more in college kids, is that you guys never get a break. You never break. You never have a break. You never lay in a hammock and just chill out. You're taking pictures of yourself in the hammock, and you're talking to people while you're in a hammock and all that stuff. You're posting things while you're in a hammock. Snapchatting. See his forehead all the time on Snapchat. I mean, that's what you guys are doing all the time. And so you never really get to just chill out. You know, so it is something that, you know, when you're feeling some things and you're dealing with some things, that you're not addressing them or processing them or dealing with them. You're just social media, computer, just throwing it over there somewhere. You know, so it does make a difference to just kind of sit with yourself a little bit every once in a while. Do you ever just sit with yourself? Process, like, what am I feeling here? It's okay. I set up a meltdown at least once a week. No, not now. I'm in the middle of a counseling session. I think I'll do that Tuesday night at 6. I'm going to have some kind of meltdown. You know, I'm going to process whatever this is in my head. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Does that make sense? To go ahead and have process time, but don't keep shoving everything down and putting around, putting it under the carpet, because you really do need to deal with some things every once in a while and be okay with your feelings and talk to somebody and say, I'm really feeling this. Right? Okay. That's stress, some tips. Would you like some more information on, am I talking too much? I feel like I'm just talking away. I'm like, I have information on depression and anxiety. I don't know if I need to give the information or if you'd like to ask me some questions on some common mental health things. College kids, the top 3 is stress, depression, and anxiety, right? And we're seeing more and more of anxiety and depression with college kids. And I don't know, I'm sure everybody's like, well, mental health is more in the front of things. I don't know. I can't tell you for sure, but I know that I see a lot more young people dealing with some pretty hard things. And, you got a lot, that you're dealing with. You're thinking about adjustment to living away from your parents and your family. You're thinking about financial things, like, oh my gosh, I feel so badly I didn't study for the test, my dad's paying my tuition, or whatever, or I'm on scholarship, and, I could lose my scholarship. You got so much, I don't know how to make friends. It makes me feel awkward. I don't, just social things, mom and dad, you really just want to cry and go home and stare at a wall. But, you don't, you know what that feels like. You're going through so much all at one time. How many of you are freshmen? Is there any freshmen in here? Yeah? Freshman. That's a hard year. How many of you remember being a freshman, and was it difficult?
Yes.
It is such a hard time. I mean, like, cry. It's like so hard. Because there's so much adjustment to what you're dealing with. And like, you got it all coming at you one time. Social life, do I fit in? I don't know what I'm doing in class. And pretty soon you're sitting in class going, I'm in class, I'm in college, I'm not paying attention to the teacher, but I'm really here. It just kind of freaks you out. Like, you're just so much that you're dealing with. And it is hard. But it gets better. I'm going to say that. It gets better as you start, getting familiar with everything and feel like you're getting to know some people. Connection is huge, guys. Make friends and find a way to make friends. Real friends. Friends that you want to hang out with, right? It's important to kind of put yourself out there, and you may be terrified. Like, what do I do with my hands? Those kind of things that you feel sometimes in those social situations. Am I talking right? Or going over your dialogue, after you've had a conversation. All those things are what a lot of people go through in new social situations. But you gotta learn how to make connections and be around people. So I'm gonna just cover some things about anxiety. Anxiety, there's GAD, general anxiety disorder. It's just this restless feeling that you've been sitting on for a long time. A lot of times when college kids comes in, I'll go, have you been feeling like this since you were a kid? Or since high school, junior high, did you start kind of feeling nervous and those kinds of things? That gives me a little bit of a history that it's not just stress, that it's anxiety that's been kind of walking along with them. They've been doing it for a while, and then now college is just setting them off even more. And they become really anxious. But anxiety was something that you'd always kind of been dealing with. A lot of people deal with anxiety. Generalized anxiety disorder is very, very common. There's difficulty concentrating, and I think that sometimes is driving a need for Adderall. People don't realize that it's hard to focus when you're anxious. And that we're getting that a little bit confused with ADHD, because it kind of feels the same. Like, I can't focus, I can't pay attention, I'm so nervous and jittery. But I look at history. Your second grade teacher probably told you if you're ADHD or not. Sometimes you can look at history. If you're just becoming ADHD in college, you might also look at, am I anxious? Am I feeling down or depressed? Because it's hard to focus when you have both of those things kind of going. Does that make sense? muscle tension, difficulty controlling the worry. You start having a lot of worries, and you're just worrying, you're thinking it to death. You're just worrying about the coronavirus. What if I get it? And all those things that start coming, and it's scary. Panic disorder. Has anybody, I can't have you raise your hand, but if you've ever experienced a panic attack, you won't forget it. It's kind of this scary, feel like you gotta go to the emergency room because you're gonna have a heart attack, or it feels like your heart is just pounding out of your chest, your head's spinning, you might feel dizzy, you might start crying uncontrollably, like, I don't know where I'm at, and really you don't. You're up in your head, spinning, trying to figure out what's going on instead of dealing with your body. There's a couple of tips I can tell you. If you start ever feeling that way, put a Altoid mint in your mouth. A real strong mint. Something that goes to the frontal lobe, where you go to more taste. Drinking water. When you get nervous, a lot of people drink water. A lot of you carry water with you wherever you go. It helps a little bit with that stress and panic and anxiety that you're feeling. Take a nice cool, drink of water. Have you ever seen a kid in the emergency room screaming his head off because he's going to get a shot or something that's going on, and then they give him a sucker and it's all over with? Taste. That brings you back to your present, and the strong one kind of helps, so you won't be just drifting off somewhere, all right? So staying in your present, name where you're at, use your eyes. I'm just here in class, I'm okay, I see things around me, I see people. Name where you're at, that kind of helps you kind of stay. Use your eyes, use your ears, go outside, listen. Do you ever do that? I listen to the frogs. I do it, but it's great, it's relaxing. Smell, I can smell Chick-fil-A from my office, because I can smell that a lot. So, just smelling things, just trying to find your present. If I asked you to look around the room for a second, you're starting to feel that panicky feeling, can you find something or somebody that's wearing red? See? Yeah. And you're like looking with your eyes. That brings you back here and out of here, where you're trying to figure out what's going on with you, and I got to get rid of this anxiety. Oh my gosh, my heart's pounding. Oh my gosh, I can't breathe. Look around the room, here, name where you're sitting, whatever, wherever you are, and that panic starts coming in. So an Altoid mint, I'm telling you that stuff kind of works. It kind of works. Social anxiety. So there's panic disorder, there's generalized anxiety, and then there's social anxiety. Has anybody ever heard of social anxiety? Did you know that? Or called social phobia. Some people call it social phobia. It's when you, I'm introverted. You won't believe that, but I am. I really like being by myself. I'm kind of thinking, I could get quarantined. That would be good. Some nights are that part of me. It was like, I could do that for a couple of weeks, That would be awesome. If you're introverted, that's one thing. And if you're extroverted, you like being around a bunch of people. I've never been one of those that likes to have a bunch of people and go to parties and have a bunch of people that are talking to me, small talk. I don't know what that is, but I feel very, it feels a little bit like, but I've gotten better because I'm doing it. I get out now. But social phobia is that feeling that you've got a spotlight on you. That like when you walk in the classroom, it's like the spotlight goes on you and everybody's looking at you. And they're thinking about you. And they're thinking bad things about you. And you feel this, like what do I do? Like I was doing Talladega Nights a while ago when I said, what do you do with my hands? What do I do with my hands? You feel so self-conscious. And, that can get really hard. And, not wanting to go out and meet friends and do things. And that paralyzing behavior can get real lonely. So you gotta do it. That's part of it, exposure. And you'll get better at it, and you don't have to be in charge of conversations. That's the biggest thing I learned. You can just listen. People like people that just listen and smile. You don't have to say a lot or think you have to come up with all the conversations, and topics before you go, okay? So that causes a lot of social anxiety is the threat that you put on it. Like, people are thinking things, I gotta say all these really sharp, smart things, right? I want people to like me. How about you decide if you like them? It's a different perspective. I like to do that now, change the whole dynamic. Do they like me? Are they gonna like me? I'm like, do I like them? It's a whole different perspective to go into such a situation. Do I like them? I'm watching you to see if I want to hang out with you. Do you get blessed with this? You know, it does kind of help a little bit with your confidence. You got to kind of fake it. Confidence comes by doing. It's not sprinkled on you, so don't wait on it. Okay. Let's see, social anxiety. Then we have risk factors. A lot of people say, "Well, my mom was anxious, so I guess I'm going to be anxious." I would say about 2% maybe is biological. It's environmental. It's what you saw. What feels like home? Mom freaked out. I freaked out. Dad freaked out. I freaked out. You know, it's how they handled your feelings. Maybe it was like, "Oh, suck it up, buttercup." Or it was, "We don't talk about that. Don't be sad when you come out of your room and you're happy. We'll talk to you." Right? Shove and feel. You know, there's a lot of little different dynamics of how parents didn't know. They're not doing anything on purpose. They love you, but they don't do things on purpose. But, you know, there's important ties to depression and anxiety that I can't feel certain things because of how you were raised. Okay, so your environment, a lot of times, is what creates, you know, some anxiety. What feels like home. I gotta be nervous about this to care. I gotta worry to care. Have you ever thought about that? If I worry, like my mom worried, that means I care about it. So I'm gonna worry about this test instead of doing the behavior that you need, which is studying, taking breaks, trying to learn something, not just be married to the grade, trying to learn. So that's the topic of anxiety, and it's there for all of us. I think the hardest thing about it, anxiety, when somebody comes sit down with me, I'm gonna go, okay, the first thing I have to say, and I listen first, is that, can you be okay with it? That sounds really kind of strange, doesn't it? From a therapist, say, can you be okay with anxiety? Let me tell you why I say that. Because anxiety and what you do with it to try to control it is making it worse. It's like a pendulum. When you push it away, like, I don't want this anxiety, I hate this anxiety, I'm mad about this, whatever. You start getting feelings on top of feelings. I'm mad about this anxiety. Oh, I feel sad about my anxiety. You spend so much time trying to push it away that you're taking yourself out of your life, trying to control it. You're trying to problem solve things that can't be problem solved, and you're trying to get rid of it, and you're trying to get it out of the car. If it was a person that you didn't want to hang out with, would you let that person you don't want to hang out with drive your car to where you want to go? Or are you going to pay attention to that person the whole time and not drive your car and try to get them out the window? That's what anxiety is like. Strap it up. They get to go with you and do what you know brings purpose and meaning to your life. It comes along sometimes. It's kind of like a backpack. You'll carry it sometimes. Sometimes it'll be high, sometimes it'll be low, but it's free to go. Sometimes mine is high, sometimes mine is low, but it's free to come and go. What we do is grab it and try to get rid of it, and it stays sticky and hairy and gets larger and bigger. I know that's kind of a big concept, but that's kind of the premise that I work on a little bit with anxiety, is that you can do positive behavior that will bring things. Okay, so let me kind of tell you this. If you were in your room and you were watching a movie and you were just all alone, would you be paying pretty close attention to that movie? Right? No distractions, you're just you and the movie screen. Let's say that you were alone in that room watching that movie pretty intently, and everything you were paying attention to, every thought, everything you're just watching that movie. And then here comes some of your friends into the room. And here comes somebody with some food. And somebody starts putting some music on or playing the guitar or whatever. And somebody starts singing. And now that movie, are you paying attention to that movie as much when all that starts happening? You know, your friends come in, you got food, you got some music going on. No, you're taking your eyes off that screen. That's what your brain is. It's just words, language, stuff that it throws out all the time. It's like a computer. It's throwing out data all the time. And it doesn't mean crap unless you make meaning and attach meaning to it. A thought is not necessarily the truth, right? Some of you fuse to that and you say, oh, it's a thought. It must be truth. I got to deal with it, right? No. Thoughts are not always truth. It's what you decide. You can go, next, I need a better thought than that. That's not going to be helpful to my life. Yeah, I do that all the time. Like, ooh, there's another wrinkle. Moving on. You know, there's another thought out there that I will be helpful to me. So, you know, I like to not participate so much in my thoughts. I like to, like a stage. Just let it go across the stage. Like, oh, there it is. It's going. See you. You don't have to, like, wrestle it. It takes you out of your life. Okay? So that movie, some of you got that strapped right in front of your eyes, and you're watching it a lot, and not doing the things that make you feel happy, and like you're doing something. You know, when you're doing things that make you happy, try to go to the beach and be anxious. Can you do that? I couldn't. I just got back from the BVI, and it's hard. You'd have to really work at it. But when you're in the ocean, sun shining, it's really hard to be anxious. I think you have to really work at it to be anxious. I guess I could think about sharks or something like that. But, I mean, it's hard to be anxious. Or up in the mountains. I used to live in Durango. I mean, it's beautiful. When I'm hiking out there in the mountains, it's hard to be anxious. You know, you're like thinking, wow, everything's so beautiful. Because I'm taking everything in my eyes. And I'm hearing, I'm sensing everything. We can do that here. You got to practice, because I know it's not as beautiful, you know, as Colorado, you know, Oklahoma, and the ocean. But we can be more present and do things that make us happy. And you got to know what those things are, and you got to try them or experiment with some things that you maybe you've never experienced before. Depression. They're sad. We've all been sad. Depression is kind of an ongoing experience of general sadness. Sometimes people describe it as nothing. I feel nothing. I feel numb. I feel empty. And there's not really even a feeling kind of attached. It's like they've just disassociated sometimes from their body, which means that they just kind of go off there somewhere. Anxiety can get that bad too. You just dissociate. I used to remember driving home. I didn't remember driving home. I'd get in my driveway and go, I don't remember driving home. Has that ever happened to you? Well, that's disassociation. It's just like what we all kind of get to experience every once in a while. But it can get bad, you know, dissociation, and then depression sometimes comes in with that because you just feel like you're kind of over there somewhere, living outside of your body. So I hear that described that way. There's persistent depression. There's postpartum. There's psychotic depression, seasonal, affective. Got a little bit of that. I don't like winter. Is it like that? I have to have sunshine or something. I don't know. I like, you know, sunshine. I get a little bit, like I have to work harder, you know, a little bit in the winter because I like to get outside and do things. That's called seasonal affective. And then there's bipolar disorder. Those are all mood disorders. Depression is a mood disorder. Okay? And persistent is what is the key word. Persistent sadness, anxious, an empty mood, feelings of hopelessness. You know, like, man, I'm just hopeless here. I'm hurting so bad. I just don't want to feel this anymore. I just feel hopeless. I can't find anything positive in my life. I'm hurting so bad. And then what happens typically is that when you get depressed, you start feeling fatigue, and then you start pulling away from things. And that's the hard part. It's where it gets sticky. So you're pulling away from your friends, your family. You're starting to isolate yourself. You're not doing those fun things you used to do. You know, I always go to, what did you used to do for fun? What did do you remember when you didn't feel this way? And what were you doing? What was it like then? You know, that's an important piece of information because a lot of people don't realize they pulled away from so many things. Like, wait, I used to hang out with my friends a lot. I don't do that anymore. I used you stop doing some of those things, and then it starts getting really hard. Depression has to be fought, and it feels like it's kind of like in quicksand, but then you just start taking one step at a time. You gotta have sunshine, you gotta eat, and you just gotta do things in spite of your feelings. You can still have behavior in spite of your feelings. I gotta hang out with people, and I do not want to, but I know I need to hang out with people because people are good for me. Eating is good for me. I have to exercise. I hate exercise. Oh, sorry. It helps you feel better, so you do it. You know, you find something that moves your body just a little bit. There is risk factors. You know, depression is the most common mental disorder in the U.S. Current research suggests that depression is caused by a combination of genetic, biological, environmental, and psychological factors. Depression can happen at any age, but often begins in adulthood. See, college is an early onset. We see the onset of so many different things. So when we get a college person in, first of all, I love it because you still can learn skills and you've been dealing with stuff, and there's some onset of things that can happen at your age. So it's nice to see college kids come, you know, and it's really acceptable to come. You might see your friend like, hey, it's okay. It's getting more and more. You know, our state was a little lagged behind on mental health, but we're starting to figure it out. So that's all I think I want to say about depression. Kind of leave, you know, some time for some question and answer kind of things.
All right, I'm going to go back to the slide for the Q&A. Action, I'd like to take this off the top here in a second. I'll move it back to that slide for a second, so anybody that wants to add questions. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, if you have questions, you can scan that or type in the link if you don't have it already. I'm just giving this for one last chance because I'm going to take this off of the overhead so I can start pulling up the questions and stuff so that